you can hear that Philip is still held in great affection just by the reaction of our audience there. But maybe bring us back in time and tell us who was Phil's father?
Philip's father was in the Air Force, and he came from South America. He came from a place called Guyana. And after the war, I arrived in England in 1947, beg your pardon. And there was a lot of people in the services after the war. And I met Philip's father at a dance in Wolverhampton, outside Birmingham. And I used to go to this dance with another Irish girl. And one night he walked across the whole of the dance floor to ask me to dance. And I danced with him. When the dance finished, I noticed everybody walked away from me. And when I went to the ladies' room to powder my nose, I heard people calling me a nigger lover. And I just couldn't believe it, because I was born with no prejudice in me. And I don't know what happened after that. I just know that I would dance with anybody who asked me. I thought it was an insult if a man had walked the length of a dance floor to ask me to dance and to say no because he was black, blue, green, any color. So that's how I met Philip's father. It
became a fine romance, and
yes.
You became pregnant with Philip.
Yes.
When and how did Philip's father vanish from the scene?
Yes. Well, I was nursing at the time, and he got transferred down to London. We had been courting for about 3 months, and he got transferred down to London. And I stayed on at the hospital, but then the matron found out that I was pregnant, and I got expelled. So I had to find a new job, and I found a job in the Austin Motor Company, in the foundry in Birmingham.
So here were you, pregnant and working in a noisy, dirty factory compared to the work
yes.
you were trained to do?
Yes, exactly.
When Philip was born, how was it for you? I mean, first of all, to be unmarried at the time, and then to have a black baby. How did people treat you?
Oh, God. He was born in the Hallam Hospital in West Bromwich on the 20th of August, 1949. And it was awful from the day he was born, because I had been taken more or less from the foundry. I went into labour. I'd worked right up to the last moment. And the people I was in digs with, they had no children. And the lady had had a very bad leg. And they used to tell me I could come back and live with them and bring my baby and so on. And I could go out to work. And when I was in the hospital, they must have come up and they showed them the baby. And the next thing, the matron came in and she just said, I've got news for you, Philomena. From here, you're going to go to a workhouse. Your landlord and landlady have left all your belongings with us. So I was homeless. I was also in a ward with 6 other ladies who had babies, and there was one lady in the corner, her baby had been born, stillborn. And I used to hide my head under the cover because they all had their visitors, their husbands, their parents, anybody coming in to visit them. I had nobody. I used to wait for the visiting hours to be finished so that I could hug and grab Philip. Having said that, one day, the lady whose baby had been born dead, her mother walked up and put 3 boxes on my bed and said, we can't let her go home to these. And that was an act of kindness. And I got those boxes of clothes. From there I was taken in an ambulance with Philip and my bits and pieces to a place in Selly Oak. It was a home for unmarried mothers. And it was run by nuns. And I remember going, when I first went in the gates, I saw this horrible building in the grounds, and I thought, what's that? It turned out to be the laundry, where all the baby's nappies got washed. In those days there was no Snuggies, they were terry toweling and stuff. And I got treated like, well, I was treated the worst of all. They gave me the job out in the cold laundry. It was absolutely freezing, consequently.
And this was because you had a black baby?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, that was a terrible time. You didn't come across any black people in Ireland, of course.
Never, no.
And yet in Britain they would have been more familiar with black people,
Yes.
although it was only the beginning of the great immigration from the West Indies
Yes,
and Pakistan
quite
and so on.
yes.
Philip eventually was raised by his granny in Crumlin.
Yes.
Now, he had a happy childhood, I presume.
Oh yes, very happy with
What
my
about
brothers.
being black in Crumlin? Did that make any
Oh,
difference?
I don't think so. I do recall that once or twice I'd come home, and I think my brother Peter told me that Philip had been called a blackie, and I remember going up to the school. Peter's in the audience listening to me now. I remember going up to the school and sorting out the head. It was a master who said, asked questions one day, and he said, "You, black boy, answer the question," or something. And of course I went up, and I'd learned not to be frightened of people, and I told everybody off.
How did you manage to keep in touch with Philip as he grew up? I mean, were you over and back all the time?
Oh, 3-4 times a year, more even. I was working hard, sending Mammy money, and sending Philip pocket money, and sending Peter and Philip all the latest styles, and Ronnie, my nephew, and so on. So yes, I saw a lot of Philip, and he looked forward to me coming home. And
the two of you actually became very close.
Oh, we absolutely worshipped and adored.
Did you
each other.
see the talent early on, the
Yes.
musical talent? Was it
No,
apparent?
No, my father saw it. He used to say to me, "Ha, that fella's like Sammy Davis." He used to get a lampshade with fringes on, and he'd stick it on his head and pull his eyes back like a Chinese, and he'd start doing funny things.